Welcome back. Now it's time for the discussion segment or interview segment, as we all know it to be. And today we'll be talking about something that is very dear to me. Like, I'm very passionate about the topic. And today is Wednesday. It's Social Wednesday. We'll talk about social issues, and basically things that we need to discuss as regards the country, the nation at large. I would read a short brief before we go straight into the discussion segment. It says that the latest report from the World Gender Gap as of 2022 reveals that Nigeria ranks 123rd with a score of 0.639 out of a total of 146 countries. And the ranking on gender gap parity uses parameters like economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, political appointment, and financial exclusion, wealth accumulation of the female gender in the world. Although Nigeria moved 16 places up in a new ranking of the Global Gender Gap Index compared to 2021, it still has a gender gap of 63.9%. That's a whole lot, and we know that many people still talk about gender equality, talk about how we need to allow females be part of, governance, part of things that are happening in the country. And so today we'll be discussing breaking barriers, empowering women, and advancing gender equality. And we have an amazing person here, our colleague, our learned colleague is here with us. And we did justice to the topic. We'll be having a conversation together here, and we'll be doing justice to the topic together. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on Daybreak again.
Yeah,
it feels good to be here.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
It's been a long time. Should I call you a runaway host?
I did not run away.
You did not run away. There's no problem. It's fine.
I did not run away. Please.
It's very fine. We are so happy to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thank you for sitting on that seat again. I have to say thank you. Okay, so on gender equality, people say, that there's nothing like gender equality, that both men and women or males and female cannot be equal, or they can say.
Before we even start the whole discussion, this seems to be like a battle I've already lost. because I'm sitting in between two women,
of course,
and no matter what I say. I
have to be very careful.
I have to be very careful. No matter what I say, I receive bashes from left and right. So I'll be very careful, and I wouldn't even argue. You understand? But still, I'll argue because for me, I understand the fact that gender equality, as much as we want to talk about how women should participate more in governance, how they should be uplifted on the economic level, we also need to understand that it's a cultural thing.
Yes, it is.
Now, the current ranking of Nigeria being 160.
Yeah, that's 123rd.
123rd out
yes.
of a whole
146.
I believe it boils down to the Nigerian culture and how we understand gender roles as Africans. Now, in the traditional African setting, there are roles specific to the male gender.
Yes.
Provision for the family, security, providing security for your family, being the major head of the family and all, while the female gender is more of production of children, keeping the household together. No.
Okay, I want you to...
Traditional Africa.
Okay.
Traditional Africa, you understand? The rearing of the children and keeping the household together, basically household chores, you understand? But we've moved past the traditional African setting. We're now in the contemporary world where the ICT is here, the women are already in tech, women are in medicine, politics and all. But still, the Yoruba would say, meaning you can't basically drop all of your attributes if you're a bad person. No matter how far you go, no matter how you think you've really developed yourself, that residue of being bad is still inside you. Understand? So no matter what we do as Nigerians, no matter what we do as Africans, we will still have our culture as the bedrock of everything. If you talk about religion, for an example, when you're practicing your religion, in that religion you still see a sense of Africanness there. In the songs you sing, in the way you relate to people, your food, even if you go somewhere else, you still want to eat the African food. So same way, gender equality. No matter what we do, no matter how far we want to go, projecting the women folk, projecting the women gender, we'll still come back to that Africanness that, okay, women are for
they are still for the kitchen.
The way our former president said it for the second room.
In the other room.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying, but I don't want us to start off on a very, rocky ground. Let us go, step by step.
Okay.
And from what you said, I understand the point where it's a cultural thing, and we know that Africa, we are so engrossed when it comes to culture. We literally infuse culture into many things, or almost everything that we do. But then we talk about gender equality, we talk about gender equity, whatever it is, we still want that there is a female representation in everything that is that is happening, and which is something that is not happening now. Yes, it's not happening now. We can see that, okay, coming from the point of child marriage. You've talked about governance. Looking at it from the last election, we barely had female aspirants. Even for the female aspirants, we already knew that there was they weren't going to be voted for at all.
But at least we saw people that won.
We saw people that won, but then it still came. We had so many conversations, so many talks on it, and then we had to go to court and saying that she was not the winner and all of that. So even as of now, we still cannot say that we still have now we're talking about representation. Of course, there are females, but we do not have a large number in that group. That is what we are talking about.
That's why I said it is cultural. Now, the question is, how many of the female projected their political interest? How many of them? And even those that projected the political interest, how well were they able to marshal the interest? How well were they able to manage the political system? Now, we understand that we have more of the male in the Nigerian political system, and therefore it kind of poses a bit of difficulty for the female to rise from the grassroots to the top. I understand that. And the Nigerian society is kind of gender toxic at the moment, where it's kind of suppresses the female gender. But still, how well were they able to bring out their aspirations? Now, you see how the male folk, for an example, we're always rugged with whatever we want to do. You have an interest, you're pushing it head on. You don't care what happens, you don't care what people say, you don't care how far you have to go to achieve your interest. Now, I'm not saying that the women folk are less motivated. We have people that are more motivated, that are very well motivated, even than the male folks. But how well were they able to do that? How well were they able to show their strength? You understand? And there's this feeling of distrust that we generally have in the female gender. Why? Because of emotions. We always believe, or Africans generally always believe, that whatever a woman is doing, you have a sense of emotion in your judgment. Therefore, emotions always cloud a woman's judgment. Now, there is an insecurity situation. A man would think of a tactical way. Okay, let me attack this. If it's to send in the security operatives to bombard this particular place and quench the insecurity question or the insecurity issue. But for a woman would start maybe bringing in emotions, thinking about like, okay, these people are human. How do we do this? How do we do that? Generally, I'm just trying to say, as a man, coming from the perspective of a man, we are always more radical in whatever we are doing, and it plays to our advantage. Maybe if the women are more radical, if they are more aggressive with pursuing their interest, maybe we would have it differently. Now,
I'm sorry, so let me quickly, pour out my thoughts.
Okay.
Now, you said that, okay, men are more radical and all. That is more of a generalized view of...
Or a biological view.
It's not, I do not think that it's a biological. Yes, I do not think that it's a biological.
Women, put their emotions when their emotions rather cloud their judgment. Let's take, for example, Dora Akinlui. She was one time the head of the... Was it NAFDAC now?
Yes.
Yeah, NAFDAC now. And in our time while she was like one of the most hated women while alive, and many threats were sent to her. Do you understand? So I'm saying, like, if she allowed emotions to cloud her judgment, I don't think her name would have been remarkable as it is now. We have other examples. And the fact that you said that, I'm sorry if it's but the fact that you said that, interest also plays a part. I want you to shine more light on what you mean by interest. Are you trying to say that their lack of interest is what is causing the gender?
No. I'm not saying the lack of interest. The interest is there. There are lots of women that are interested in holding political seats, that are interested in holding official positions in the country. But how have they been pushing it? That is the question.
Another question I want to ask is, how well have they been given the opportunity to push it out? Because it's one thing to have an interest, and it's another thing to have a platform that would be ready to, you know, to help you hone your interest and literally push it out. It's very easy for a man. I really don't know what this conversation is to be about, the man and the woman. But then it's very easy. It's very easy for a man to say, okay, I have an interest in this. I want to probably be the governor and all of that. And then a party says, okay, bring it on. You come be our flag bearer and all of those things. And you know, they do the whole campaigning. I'm sure that it's not just the money of the man that he would use for campaigning and all of that. The party would probably have a hand in it. But then a woman comes out to say, oh, I want to be, you know, a governor and all of that. And she finally, after all back and forth, she finally finds a party. She gets a party to, you know, that would buy into her interest. And then she comes in, and of course we know that it's definitely a minority party. You wouldn't see the majority party, you know, bring up a woman. Now this is where we want to, sorry to cut you short, but this is where I want us to, you know, bring the conversation from. That now they are structure, there are systems, we have platforms, but the platforms that we have, or the ones that we don't have the capacity to help a woman or to help females, you know, literally push out their interest when it comes to, we're talking about governance, and when it comes to governance, they do not care.
I want us to relate it to the entertainment industry, the Nigerian entertainment industry. Now, we have the political system and we have the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry seems to be like a honeypot at the moment, where anybody can tap the gold, anybody can enjoy the honey. There is no politics being played in the Nigerian entertainment industry at the moment. If you really look at it critically, there's really no politics going on there. But then, who are on the front line of the entertainment industry, the Nigerian entertainment industry? Who are the main proponents of let me just say the Afrobeat, for an example? Who are the main proponents? It has been the male. It has been the main gender pushing the entertainment industry to what it is now. After all, we have female folks in the entertainment industry, fine. We have a lot of them that are making it big there. But then, how well and how radical and how aggressive have they been in pushing their interest? How well have they been able to push the industry as a whole, as a body on its own, and not just my... You
mean the female artists?
Yep.
I think that is like a very, very relatable thing for you, like thought of opinion for you to say, because I don't think that they've not tried enough to not push it. Most record labels are always in, you know, the...
being managed by the male.
Yes, now, and they sign more of male.
Now, there's this question people always ask. People like Olamide, Don Jazzy and co, they made it in the industry and they created their own record label.
Yes.
You understand? But we have a lot of female that have also made it in the industry and have not been able to create a record label where younger aspiring artists can come and use their platform to push themselves to spotlight too. Why? Because it has become a sort of a personal thing, and let me just say they've been a bit more relaxed. That is my argument. You understand? They've been a bit more relaxed. Their interest, fine, they have the interest, but how have they been able to push it? I'm talking about the aggression. You know, I don't dispute the fact that we should do more in projecting the female folks. The female folk need to be more represented in every aspect of the Nigerian system, politics, economy, business, and all. But the aggression the male folks have that have been helping, my stand is that the women don't have it.
Now, you know, I want to understand the aggression exactly. Like, what part of aggression is it that, oh, I think that, you know, when it comes to aggression, the way I'm saying it, I think both male and female, for somebody who has an interest, who has a goal in mind, whatever
let's use Atiku Abubakar for an example.
Okay.
Atiku Abubakar has been contesting over and over, even though he was a former vice president, he has been contesting for the seat of the president over and over and over. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, he contested over and over. Shewore, he has been contesting over and over.
Okay.
Any day he attains the seat, anybody will be like, oh, he has done well, he's on the seat. But anybody will not remember how aggressive these people have been.
But I think that,
but then let us understand that
when their primary elections, they didn't have to struggle.
Thank you, that was my point. Because there is a point of primary election.
You really think they didn't have to struggle? Somebody that has been contesting for the last...
No, No,
student elections have not been struggled.
I think that agenda favors them, and they are also financial.
They are financially buoyant and all. Now, we understand how governance work in Nigeria. Let us even call a spade a spade. We know that it is not black and white. There are so many shades of gray in Nigerian politics.
Nigeria will move to the point of having a female president.
There are so many shades of gray in Nigerian politics. Now we say that, of course, before you get to a point where you say, I want to be the flag bearer of a party, I'm contesting on this party, you have the nominees, and then there is a primary election, and then they vote, and then they choose this person to be the flag bearer. Of course, there are women that will be there. We all know, we saw it in the past elections, that even during the primary elections, the women were not even favored. They were not even, you can be saying 1 vote, maybe that's the person's vote, or 0, 1, 0, 10, 9, 8 votes, and just imagine that within the party we are having this number. So how much more? Obviously with that number, you definitely cannot even get to a more
I won't totally
generalized
dispute
view.
the fact that the system works for the male better. Everywhere in the world has been categorized to be a patriarchal society, where even in developed countries like the US, the UK, we still have more of women or of men in governance.
Those generally, the society is more.
The world generally is a patriarchal world. I wouldn't object to that. But I'm just saying the women can also do more in being radical. The women can also do more in being aggressive. Fine, the world works better for the men. And I won't actually sit well 100% with that fact that, okay, even the world works better for the men, because, okay, let's just bring it to the domestic discussion now. How the world favors the women more than the men. Take for an example, there's this always, look at Ukraine for an example.
Okay.
Ukraine, when the war started, what happened? All the women were taken out.
Of course.
The men were left behind to fight the battle. There's always this argument that, okay, in the work setting, the men are always being paid better than the women. But the question is, okay, women want to be equal with the men. They want to enjoy the same platform, the political platform, the economic platform. But we don't talk about the domestic aspect of it. Which woman wants to work as a truck driver? Which woman wants to work as a bricklayer?
I have somebody who works as a truck driver.
Have you seen a woman that works as an electrician, that works on power poles? These power lines.
Just because we don't see
if we have one, we have 1/1 million.
But then we know that these are the
but always when we have this discussion, we are talking more of the white collar jobs. We're talking of the political setting, the frontliners of the economy. We're not also talking about the backliners. We're not talking about where it's rough. We're not talking about the tough side of it. That's why I'm saying the women, you're not being radical. The women are not being aggressive.
Tough side of it, in your opinion?
I just gave you 2 examples. Have you seen the domestic tough sides? If you go to the bush, you see the men there cutting trees, carrying logs of wood, but you won't say woman there. Why? I understand the fact that our biological makeup is different.
Yes, very
You understand?
true.
The cultural belief is also different. You get, but still, what a man can do, a woman can do better, right?
Yes.
But the women are not trying to do better.
No, you can't. I don't think that. I don't think you should say that. This is more of a fact than you just putting out a statement. You are saying that a woman cannot. I think that without
No, I didn't say cannot. Are not. They are not trying.
They are not trying. That's more of a fact for me, and I don't think that without
proper
evidence.
That is my belief.
That without proper evidence, you can't just put it out like that. But then let's move away from if you are still on this topic, I don't on this particular.
Because you said an example that you see men in forest.
I have seen.
You don't see women. You see women going to the hospital and into the labor room.
I have seen a truck.
That is why we need to consider the biological makeup and the cultural thing.
Now I understand that men and women are
definitely
different
things.
but then there are some the way we see men come into similarly female dominated spaces. Now let's say for example females, you have more female makeup artists, something like that, hairstylists and all. Now we see men also coming into those sectors, and nobody said anything. Nobody is, there's always a free ground for all of them to want to thrive, for everybody to, to basically do everything.
So generally you're saying a man can encroach on the women's duty while the women can't encroach on the men's?
That's why it's
not duty per se, but something that has been gender.
That looks like a female-dominated
profession. You see males coming into it, and then nobody is saying anything about it. In fact, there's a free ground for everybody to blossom and
there's still a free ground for everybody to bloom too. In a male-dominated profession, there is also an opening for the female.
No, we're not saying that
there's always the opening, but the question is, do they come?
I'm saying that there are challenges in when a female is trying to, dominate a male-dominated profession than when a male is trying to dominate. But has the male been dominating
the female profession? No, we've only been having a few. You understand? We've only been having a few number. Okay, you talked about makeup artistry or hair braiding and all. If you visit 10 salons, you probably just see out of 100.
But then my main point is that there's been a free ground, there's been a leveled access, or there's been a free equal access. Now, yes, that's the point. If equal access to opportunities that both the female have and the males have, there's always that equal access.
It's not about statistics right now. It's about the challenges that they face.
Exactly. And now when we move back to the female coming into the male sector, even you can even see it in corporate settings. You see where a male is even given more opportunities to get promoted than even the female, and then you start seeing different terms and conditions when it comes to, okay, are you getting married anytime soon? If you're getting married anytime soon, I don't think we can accept you for this job. I don't think, because you will definitely not put in so much focus in it and all of that. So the point now is that, and that's where we really want to come, that should that be the case? We're talking about gender equality. We're talking about giving equal access for a female. Not like, of course, I know that there's always a distinction between the male and the female. We are different beings entirely. But then for females that choose and say, oh, I want to be a part of this thing, it might seem like a male-dominated space, but I want to be a part of it, then I think that I should be given equal access, the same access or the same opportunity you have, then I should also have it. And even if I get into that space, even if I get into that male-dominated field, I think that for whatever thing, whatever benefit to be given to you, I should also get that benefit without looking at my make.
Now, if you look at the workspace for an example, there generally is an equal access. Trust me.
Not in all cases.
I don't know. I have not categorically seen one. You understand? So I can't talk from experience. From what I understand, from a bit of experience that I have, I understand that in the workspace there are generally equal experience. But what is always considered to be the upper hand of the male is how well a male can work, how far we can put ourselves on the line. Taking for an example, you're in a work setting. When a male works for the same thing a man would do for 10 hours, a woman might not be able to do it for more than 8 hours. Any recruiter at that moment would want to consider, okay, my business, I see somebody who will do this thing for 10 hours and another person who will do it for 8 hours for the same pay. For the same pay.
Definitely would
and
consider
the man also would do it with more, let me say, I don't want to say virility or with more focus than the woman.
But isn't it better to ask than just assume and not give the person the opportunity at first?
This thing is biological. It's not about asking. If you ask anybody, you see people, I can work under pressure, I can do 72 things at a time. But when the work starts, when they go and get stuff, what happens? It always falls back on the man. It is always the man who would stand there and do that 10 hours he promised to do. You understand? Then, talking about emotion, in a situation where a man would handle things pragmatically, the woman is already placing emotion. The woman is already working on, okay, I'm tired. I've worked for 3 days straight. I'm tired. She will start crying, breaking down, but still, the man will still be on the go. The man is still working, pushing it on. Why? Because the biological makeup is different.
Okay, Khalid, so
I understand. We cannot blame the women. I'm not blaming the women.
You're coming more from the biological aspect.
Biology and culture.
And cultural aspect of everything.
Just for you to also understand that, okay, it's not like these accesses are not opened or these opportunities are not there. They are there. Fine, there are less representation of women there. True. Women should be given more access. Fine. But when the access is given, in places where the access is free. That is why I took us to the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is open for everybody. How well have they been able to use that opportunity? That is it.
Okay. I want us to move on to another, to another aspect of, when it comes to another aspect of gender equality. So now we see when it comes to education and, marriage, this is another issue. This is another serious issue that we have when it comes to gender equality. Or if a lady or a lady now, when she's done with say some secondary school, some university at most, the next thing is, when I get to get married, when I get to married, and then the next minute is the next minute when you say stuff like, oh, I want to further my education, I think that I want to do my master's and probably my PhD and go for some academic tours and all of those things. Next, you cannot say that because your biological clock is ticking.
When we talk about
should we shelve our dreams, or should we talk about academic advancements,
right? Okay. This part is one part where I wouldn't say the women are being sidelined. Okay. Because no man or no family is stopping a woman from academic advancement. That's one. Maybe it happens in the north, but in the northern part of Nigeria, where
we still have like a large number of
the interest
in
education is a bit more reduced than the West. You understand? Okay. But still, okay, we both know we do a lot of research, particularly into advanced and international education. When you look at international scholarships, for an example, Chevening, Commonwealth, Erasmus, if you look at the list of people being admitted, you can't really say there is gender inequality happening there.
Because like you said, we do a lot of research in this, and we can say that on the website you see females are encouraged to apply. Why do you have to put that caveat there? Females are encouraged to, more females are encouraged to apply. This is what we are talking about. If you're saying more females are encouraged to apply, it shouldn't be, because on a normal ground or on a regular ground, then it should be like if there's an opportunity,
they'll be getting more of
males. Yes, this is what we can see.
They've been getting more of male applicants accepted, but the platform is opened to everybody, right? Is it not?
Of course, it is open to everybody.
No one is being held back from applying.
Nobody is being held back.
The same way you said about culture. Culture holds female back in some settings.
I don't think that's right.
Nice. She took us to culture.
Yes.
It is understood that, okay, there is a biological time that is taken for the female, while the male doesn't maybe have the time and everything. But still, okay, look at it for an example. There are platforms where maybe there is a particular fund that is to be given out for a project. It is always stated there that, okay, for a woman who probably has a child, maybe a man is getting 5,000 naira for that platform. He's being funded for 5,000 naira. They will tell you, okay, a married person with a child will be funded with 7,000 naira. Wow, why? They're already putting in account the child.
A married person
with kids. It happens that something is going to be funded, and it will be highlighted that, okay, for anybody with kid, for the woman with kid, not the males with kids.
Well, you're just a married person. It can neither be.
It is always the women.
Okay.
You understand? Always the women.
Now, I understand where Khalid is coming from. I think Khalid is more of a cultural man. You are this
African.
I'm traditional. Very traditional. In fact, you are very traditional.
I'm a traditional
and
man.
We still have conversations like this. I'm glad that this conversation came from this point of view. Of course, we would expect that it goes in a particular way, but it's coming from this point. And as much as I do not agree to many of your things.
Thank God I was still able to defend myself, because it was coming from here.
We have so many. In fact, of course, they are giving more opportunities to females, because when females see this, it's sort of an encouragement to them, like, okay, I think that I can do this. And this is one way by which people you see international organizations encourage female, especially African females, to step up and basically do basically just move into their goals when it comes to their
how many times have you seen initiatives like Men in Tech? You would always see women in tech. Because we know that females are more marginalized when it comes to this.
We know it. We see a lot of child marriages.
And the pioneers in tech are men. So they are trying to like...
The pioneers are men, but the platform is open.
In fact, we see a lot of child... Khalid, I think that, you know, we see a lot of child marriages. We see female being used as collaterals when their fathers collect loan. We see families, mothers, fathers saying, oh, you are clocking 30, you shouldn't be in my house, I need you to leave and get married. You shouldn't, I don't want you to earn so much, because who is going to marry if you have a car, if you build a house, don't do anything, limit yourself. We have all of these conversations, but then I'm sure you are running away from it. But
I think the final question that we should be asking him is that, do you think the society generally, you know, is favorable to women? Do you think it's
1 minute? Because
in 1 minute, yes. And what can you like? What can the men?
No, yes, you think it's
whatever I say, you both will not agree.
No, it's not about if we're
one thing I would say is, fine. The world is not fair to the female folk. You understand? Basically, particularly in Africa, the platform is better in the West, but it is more encroached in Africa. You understand? Fine, the platform is not good, and we need to do more with women inclusion. You understand? We need to do more. We can do better. Let me just say that.
Exactly.
We can do better.
I think that's the point.
Still, we'll talk in camera.
Okay. We'll talk in camera. Yeah, I think that sums it all up. We need to do better when it comes to giving females more access. We need to do better. We need more. I think the government, NGOs, whoever, individuals as well can come together.
Power and position.
Everybody basically should just come together to make sure that females get more opportunities. Females also get a soft landing when it comes to male-dominated spaces, and basically in everywhere. It's high time we stop the idea of child marriage. It's high time we stop the idea of men getting better opportunities than the females. I think everybody should have a soft landing. So if you are in the position to make sure that happens, the government, NGOs, individuals, or you are viewers listening to us, let's try as much as possible to make sure that every female around you, every female that get access to the same opportunities that the males have. And we're going to a short break to back with Daybreak Africa. Just stay with us.